Hey, welcome back to Hockey Central. We've turned a three-man show into a four-man show. Matt Marchese, our esteemed producer, joins us on the set looking fresh.
Yeah, Stewie, you hear that? Looking fresh.
Your shirt looks good today. I like it.
There
Try to copy me, but that's all right.
Matty, you always have questions?
I always have questions. Sometimes I don't get answers, but I always have questions.
All right.
So LeBron James said yesterday that he could win the scoring title every year if he wanted to. Who is the player that you believe could have been one of the all-time greats if he wanted to? And I always go to the Alex Kovalev, like every single time.
Yeah, that's a bummer because that literally is the first name that came to mind for me. How about if a guy like Sidney Crosby didn't care about winning? If he just wanted to get points, if he just wanted to score goals, I think he could be a different player than he's been. I think you'd see that.
For me, I think Ovechkin, if he wants to break Wayne Gretzky's scoring record, I think if he wants to, he can do it. I think he can break that record.
So wait, you ask who would be great if they put their heart into it, and you answer Crosby and Ovechkin? These guys are great already.
I'm changing the context of the question.
I also
you want
changed the
someone who's
question
underachieved and just didn't perform up to...
Alexei Kovalev is always the easy answer.
I've talked to players who say Alexander McGillney was the most talented player they've ever played with, and I've heard that from a number of different players.
Yeah.
And he did have a stellar career, but it leads you to believe what could it have been? What didn't he score 76 goals 1 year? What could have been maybe if he'd always, come with the desire that maybe some of his teammates had hoped.
Anybody want to change their answer over here? Or are we good?
Nope.
Well, in terms of if we're talking about guys like that are just like purely talented, pure goal, do we think that Kessel, if he put his mind to it a little bit more and kept the pedal down all season, could he score more?
Would it make him a Hall of Famer in your book from the earlier question?
No.
So NBC Sports is doing a feature where their writers pick their favorite goals, and the first one that came up was Alex Ovechkin's goal against the Coyotes back in 2006. What is your favorite goal of all time?
My favorite goal was just the Gretzky drop pass to Lemieux, top corner, rendezvous 87. It meant more than just a goal. It was such a great moment for Canadian hockey, and I'm sure there'd be a lot of people, maybe some younger listeners or viewers who might say, well, Sidney Crosby's golden goal in 2010. Mm-hmm. But I would put the Gretzky to Lemieux, two of the greatest all-time players connecting in a 5-5 game in the final moments, do or die on an international stage. To me, that was my favorite goal.
Mine is, and the one I always tried to emulate in junior was Stevie Y's overtime goal against St. Louis, where he takes the slap shot and the perfect camera view with the camera right behind the net, and you just see Grant. Was it Grant Fuhr in net?
No, it wasn't.
John Casey was.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of. I think I was very young at the time, but just seeing that puck go in, top shelf, like no chance of scoring it. So it being in overtime, it being a big goal for me, it's my favorite goal.
I think it would be ridiculous for me to not pretend that I wasn't raised in a New York Islander household and that Bobby Nystrom scored an overtime winner. I think that's a pretty easy pick for me, I think.
Mine was the Datsuk. I believe it was on Marty Turco, where poor Marty just kind of flew right out of the net, where Datsuk pulled it back on him, and just filthy, just absolutely filthy.
With that big paddle.
Yeah. So speaking of goals, so for the first time in NHL history, on this date, the NHL mandated or initiated that players can raise their sticks after scoring a goal. So the first ever celebration was Billy Ray. What's your favorite goal celebration? Was it the Ovi? The stick was too hot?
I'm baffled. It used to be illegal to do that.
I guess, yeah. And Billy Ray, the first one to do it in a 5-2 win by the Montreal Canadiens over the Chicago Blackhawks.
I got two that come to mind.
What's
Well,
happened?
Theo Fleury, when he does the end-to-end charge, which was incredible. And maybe it was also just because of the call of it, but Brad May, he was just so, I've never seen a guy happier to score a goal than Brad May. And then the Mayday. I mean, the call was unbelievable. Rick Jenneret.
I like was it Alexander McGillney who shot his glove out of the air?
Solani.
Sorry,
yeah.
Timo Solani. My hockey history is brutal. It's funny. I actually saw someone do that in junior, and then they actually rushed him in center ice and beat him up. Timo Solani.
I used to like the Yager salute. I saw it, and when I was in minor hockey, I did it, like go to center ice and do it to my dad. And then after a few, my dad's like, okay, you might want to stop that one.
We're going to acknowledge that Tiger Williams rode his hockey stick, right? Like that's a real thing that happened in the National Hockey League.
But speaking of guys getting beat up, who's going to try and beat up Tiger Williams after do that? Not too many guys. I read an article, and it was a shout out to Greg Wyshynski that wrote it. And it's NHLers that look weird in certain jerseys. And some of the names on the list that come up, Wayne Gretzky in St. Louis, Mike Modano in Detroit, Matt Sundin in Vancouver, Bobby Orr in Chicago, Chris Chelios in Atlanta, and Marty Brodeur in St. Louis. What is the oddest look that you guys have seen?
I got Brett Hull in Arizona.
That's a good one. That was on that list.
forgot
Too.
about
That was a weird look.
Oh my goodness, that's
Yeah.
Like Marty Brodeur in St. Louis, like in a Blues jersey, is
Yeah, that's not
weird.
natural.
Matt Sundin in a Canucks jersey is weird. Those two kind of stand out.
Even
for
Mark
me.
Messier in a Canucks jersey still feels weird. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
anyone in those mustard Canucks jerseys looked weird. I don't care. Stan
You
Smeal
played a
looked weird.
decade there, yeah.
I don't have a good answer on that one.
I don't have a good one. I'm trying to think.
Anthony Stewart in a Thrashers jersey.
He loved it though. He wants all
I'm a
his
little bit
Thrashers
older,
gear
but
back.
Sunday. I remember when I think Sundin's synonymous with Toronto Maple Leafs. So when I see pictures of him wearing the old
Quebec.
Jofa bucket with Quebec,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
it looks a
that's
bit
cool.
odd.
Yeah, the Chris Chelios Atlanta one is bizarre to look at as well.
How about the Chicago Wolves Chris Chelios one? I think that was a little even more.
I played with him there. Yeah,
You should have got that jersey.
yeah. You didn't get
Stewie.
Chelly's chili in the concourse. There.
Yeah, and okay, so we talked about the Canucks and we talked about Elias Pettersson. Is Elias Pettersson a guy that you could see winning an Art Ross trophy or a Hart trophy in his future? Is he that good?
I think so.
Yeah.
What's this? He's 21 years old, and he's probably going to finish. He's on pace to be in the top 10 scores this year. Why not?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you said, I think he's got 23 points in 19 games at 21 years old. The team hasn't been amazing around him. I could see him at 24 on a better Canucks team and being, even at a faster, higher clip than he's at now.
I say no, just based on the fact that McDavid's there for the next how many years, and you have two number 1 and 2 picks that potentially could be in the West that could be even better than him coming up in the coming years.
Okay, a quick one. How loud are the boos for JT tonight back on the island for the third time?
I was saying Boo Earns, so not too loud.
Deafening. I'm going to say deafening. Those fans are vicious.
Yeah,
at
if
times.
they're not letting up one little bit. My Twitter feed will speak to that. They still loathe the Snake Tavares for leaving.
And you could see Johnny Tavares back on the island tonight, Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey. That was fun. We got it. Why don't we just do 2 hours of that, Matty?
No. My family is going to call you and tell you that's a great idea.
Hockey Central. We'll catch you next time. Enjoy the pucks tonight.